What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another State of Affairs monthly update for my channel. This time it's out a little bit earlier in the month than the February State of Affairs did. I can't remember specifically all of the stuff that was going down that made it so that that video was delayed by nearly a week, actually. But this month, this video is coming out on Friday, March 3rd, just like I want it to. And as things stand, I will go ahead and say that February has been a great month for me. Overall, probably a bit better than January went, which I am very glad for, but I don't really have that much else to say beyond that. So let's just start off just as normal with last month's videos with a little bit of performance, all of the videos that I released over the course of February. Of course, I did start off the month with the third video in my 2022 reading tier list. That was episode 57 of the Book Binge. It got 20 views, so surprised how much retention that series has overall been able to keep throughout the duration of it, at least up to that point. Next up, I did do, of course, my normal bi-weekly update on February 5th. That got 18 views. Then I did the January reading wrap-up and February TBR video, which got 14 views, so a little bit less than I feel like those videos normally tend to get on my channel, but the retention, the watch time, and everything for that video was just as normal, maybe even a little bit better than normal, so I'm still perfectly okay with that. February turned out being a much better month for my reading than January did, as this upcoming reading wrap-up and TBR will inform you next Tuesday, I believe, whenever that video comes out. Next up, I did my February State of Affairs video, which I did mention briefly before. This video got 9 views, which I think is pretty normal for State of Affairs at this point. I am a little bit surprised that the State of Affairs don't get as many views or as much watch time as, say, my Fortnights on the Isle do, the bi-weekly updates, but, you know, whatever it is that people are interested in watching is whatever it is that they're going to watch, and I'm perfectly fine with that. 9 views is still acceptable, especially since I think it did still get a pretty normal amount of watch time, at least on average, so that was fine with me. Next up was my January 2023 book haul video that released. This one was a little bit of a smaller one, as the runtime it definitely shows. I think it was only like 8 minutes long or something like that, which is definitely on the shorter side for my videos, generally speaking. This one got 19 views, which was surprising amount after the last couple book hauls before that. Didn't really hit off the same way for the most part, I feel like. Next up, I did do my State of the Sun Eater with a little bit of exclusive Sun Eater information that I got to announce in that video, where I basically compiled a bunch of the recent news and updates and whatnot surrounding Christopher Rocchio's science fiction epic, The Sun Eater, that has come out over the last couple months and whatnot. I basically compiled it all into one video, ensured through Rocchio himself with his corroboration that all the information was correct, and then basically did one single news video on that. This video got 37 views and had a much higher than normal watch time average. So this video was by far my most successful of the month, and which is to a certain extent a little bit surprising. I actually was not anticipating this. I was just hoping that this one wouldn't be the worst performing video of the month, and that turned out being far and away the best. So appreciate everyone who went ahead and watched that one. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was a little bit different, had more cuts because I had to make sure that all the information was correct and all that whatnot. But that was that video. Next up was number 4 of my 2022 reading tier list. Here at this point, we were coming a little bit closer to the end. This one got 21 views, which is a little bit weird. I don't entirely know why it got more views than the previous one did. Might be because a couple viewers watched it in 2 different parts at 2 different times, or, you know, I don't know all of the details in that regard, but 21 views I am certainly happy with, especially by the 4th video in that series. Next up was the 19th of February's bi-weekly update video that got 12 views. Then I did a full review, my only full book review for, well, actually not my only, but nearly my only book review of the month. This one on Kingdoms of Death, as you can see on that thumbnail. Yeah, I had a glorious, wonderful time with certain sections of that book. That has turned out being, it might be my longest review on the channel up to this point. If it's not, it's definitely pretty close to being the longest review on the channel. Part of that was because I did do a section in there that was specifically for spoiler talk. If you've read the book, you know exactly why I felt like I needed to do that. That's something that I might incorporate a little bit more into the content of the channel here in a couple months, depending on what I decide to do, but we'll see about that. Either way, this review got 17 views, and yeah, that was actually pretty surprising after, I want to say my Howling Dark and Demon in White reviews didn't do quite as good as my Empire of Silence review did, which, you know, is to be expected for sequels. Reviews of sequels aren't going to get as many views or as much watch time, generally speaking, as the first book is going to, even though I do all my reviews spoiler-free, except for when I do a spoiler talk, and I specifically mention where this is a spoiler talk so that people who don't want that can skip it. So, you know, that's how I tend to do things, but for the fourth book in the series getting as many views as it did, I'm very surprised by that. And, you know, even if you include my reviews on The Lesser Devil and Other Stories and Queen of Mid-Ashes and Other Stories back there, those reviews didn't do fantastic as well, because not only are they sort of like sequels, but they're also not quite as forward in Sun Eater as the main series is, of course. So for Kingdoms of Death, at this point, my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as my 6th review encompassing Sun Eater. I'm just surprised that it did as well as it did, so I definitely am very grateful for that. And then finally, the 5th and final part of my 2022 reading tier list. This video got 17 views, same thing as Kingdoms of Death by this point. I'm very happy with the success and overall retention of viewers for that entire series. I very much appreciate that. I had a lot of fun doing it. At this point, I think I will almost certainly do the exact same thing for 2023 reading, you know, over the first few weeks of 2024, do the same thing. But since I'm actually thinking that I'll have read probably 10 or 15 less books this year by the time we get to the end of the year, we'll see, who knows. I might not have as many tier list videos next year, which actually might be preferable, because 5 of these spread out over nearly 2 entire months. It's a little bit of a long time coming to get all of those out, but that is what I did. And then, of course, one last video that came out in February, which I'm recording this on the 1st of March. This video came out yesterday, so it's brand new, essentially. That being a spoiler-free normal book binge review for Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This one already has 6 views and a higher than normal watch average, so I'm happy with that so far. 6 views seems like it's not that much, but like I said, it just released barely like 26, like not even 27 hours ago at the time that I'm recording this video, so that's pretty normal. Actually, it's pretty normal slash average, I would say, for the first 24 to 28 hours of a video's lifespan. But the reason that I did this video was because I did a spoiler-ish review nearly a year ago at this point, back in like April or May of 2022, that was scripted and had a little bit of a different style and tone and vibe to it than my normal book binge reviews. And I've been wanting to get back to doing those with more classics, but I just haven't made it as much of a priority as I feel like I should. So instead, I decided that because I have a lot of book binge episodes that I wanted to fill out for the next couple months, I would start just reviewing all of the classics in the normal book binge format, and if I want to get into a more in-depth and more spoiler-filled review for those on Count the Classics sometime in the future, I am free to do that. But yeah, that was my spoiler-free review for Frankenstein. At this point, we can now talk a little bit about last month's writing. I did a lot of writing stuff over February, even more than in January I did. I can't remember how much I did in January specifically compared to last month, but these are the stats of what I worked on in February. First off, I did finish pre-writing stage 1 of the Reign of Ash sequence. I believe in the last state of affairs, I more or less explained what was going on with the pre-writing, how there are multiple stages. First stage was just general summaries, just a few paragraphs, like 200-300 words, maybe 400 or 500, depending on how long they needed to be, just as a general summary for each of the 19 books in the Reign of Ash sequence. I did finish doing all of that. I can't remember how many of those I did in January compared to how many I just did in February, but I did finish all of those. I will go ahead and open the file that I have containing the percentages and whatnot. Let's go ahead and switch over to here, and this works well enough as a placement for the camera, I guess. This on the screen, you can now see everything associated with the Reign of Ash at the moment in terms of word counts and stuff. If we go back to the pre-writing stage 1 page, you'll see that I have all of the initial summaries for the 5 individual series over on the left side here, including the target word count. So basically the target was 250 words for each one, and then the current words, what I actually hit with the percentages, and then they all match with the corresponding charts and colors over here. Over on the right side, you can see a chart or a graph or a table, I suppose, of the entire series, including the very end. You'll see that the entire pre-writing stage 1 totaled to just over 7,000 words, and that every single one of the books made it well over, or that every single one of them made it to at least 100%. Most of them made it to 120 or more. So that is what I did. But then I also, even more than doing pre-writing stage 1, I started pre-writing stage 2, which I said I was thinking might wait until March, but I had a little bit of time to start working a little bit on that ahead of time. So I did actually get the Silent Rain trilogy started for the stage 2. Stage 2 is the expanded summaries. Instead of 3 paragraphs each, with a target of 250 words total, it's 9 paragraphs. It's expanding each of those 3 paragraphs, which each make up one act of the story, and expanding those into 3 paragraphs each. That's what I was working on, and got right around 1,250 words for each one, so I'm very happy about that. You can see that matches the graph here, and then of course over on the graph on the other side. This is all that I got on pre-writing stage 2. The last couple weeks I've been working on some other stuff, so I haven't gotten to do much else, but that is what I've been working on for the most part since. Go ahead and close this now. The other little bit of writing or whatever that I've been working on in the time since doing 3 of the 19 books in pre-writing stage 2, 3,700 words of that, by the way. Basically, all of my other writing time has been spent prepping scripts and notes for videos. I run, basically, when I record all these videos, off of basic notes so that I make sure that I'm talking about all the things that I'm needing to be talking about in each video, so that I'm not just forgetting stuff, and so that it's a little bit more structured instead of me just trying to come up with stuff off the top of my head. Means that there's a little bit less space randomly in the video, so that editing is a bit quicker as well. Just a whole bunch of technical jargon. I have prepared script or notes rather for a couple dozen videos to come out over the next few months, because I'm not entirely sure what my real life and especially my work schedule is going to be looking like over the back half, especially of March and over April. And instead of doing what I did last year, where I just recorded a few videos and then had them spaced out even further over April and May, I decided I'm not going to cheap out on my content that way this year. I'm instead just going to make sure that I get an absolutely absurd amount of stuff prepared ahead of time, and just, take a couple weeks to just record and edit a million videos and get them all uploaded, so that I have a little bit more space and time to continue to prepare stuff for after April, but so that I'm not reducing the amount of content that I'm releasing either. That's what I did. So I got 7,000 words written in pre-writing stage 1 of The Reign of Ash, 3,700 words in stage 2 so far, and then like 8,000 or more words just in notes for videos. So that's like, I wrote well over 17,000, probably closer to 20,000 words over February, which, considering the amount of videos that I got to do and work on and all of the other stuff that has been going on, I'm rather proud of that fact. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get ready for my channel statistics. Of course, just as I personally expected, my statistics aren't going to be quite as great looking as, say, they did last month, but when it comes right down to it, January was a great month. I had several videos that are going to be broadly more interesting to even an audience that isn't specifically mine. So I got a ton of views and watch time just because of that. But also because February is 3 days shorter than January is, so that's 3 less days to accrue more views and watch time, for example. So let's go ahead and start this off looking at the views. I got 264 views over the course of February, which was a 17% decrease from January. It's not too much of a decrease. I got, I think, 319 or something views in January, which was way higher than normal. 264 is a bit more on pace, more on track, more average for my channel each month. So I'm still very happy with that. Although, to be fair, I still released an absurd amount more videos than I normally do. So beyond the views, I got to 23.1 watch hours, which even compared to my normal or average month is still pretty much exactly normal. It was a 32% decrease from January because January had like 34 watch hours, an absurd amount, like more than I've ever gotten. 23.1 is still on the upper end of my average, if not above average still. So, as things are, I'm still really happy with that. And by the looks of it, over the last couple months, it seems like even though the amount of views, like new views that my channel is getting each month is pretty much the same, if not a little bit less, the amount of time that people are spending watching is a little bit higher than normal, where there was a long time where like my average view duration, pretty much every video was like 2.5 to 3 minutes, maybe. Now it's more like 5.5 minutes for my average length video. That's pretty much my average view duration. And then, of course, my subscriber count, once again, in February, I did increase by 4. Now, the interesting story with this is story similar to, I believe, October of last year, or might have been November, I don't remember for sure. In January, I increased by 4 subscribers net, but I really gained like 6, I believe, but I also lost 2. In February, I just gained 4. I didn't lose a single subscriber, which is not normal. Like, normally I lose between 1 and 5 subscribers over the course of a month, just from, people who've been subscribed from several years ago with stuff that I have not had on my channel for a couple years now. So, just in terms of stuff like that, I normally lose close to as many subs each month as I gain. But this month I just gained 4, never lost any. So for once, my total subscriber count, as you can see down there, is at 439. It's the first time that it's ever stayed above 435 ever. So that in and of itself is something that I'm going to choose to be rather glad and happy about. It's not like the best thing in the world. I would love to be able to hit, say, something like 500 by the end of the year. But at this rate, if I can hit 500 or 450 subscribers and stay at 450 subscribers by the end of the year, that'd be pretty neat. And as things are going, it seems like I'm more or less on pace to meet that, depending on how many subs I continue to lose. But that is still encouraging nonetheless. But what do we have on the docket this month? Well, I'm not really sure what's going on at this point. I did mention that I've been working ahead of time on an absurd number of videos to come out over the next couple months. That has been true. I'm going to be continuing to get a bunch of video prep done for that. Like after I'm done recording and editing this video to go up on Friday, I have like 9 or 10 more videos to record between now and the end of this coming weekend and get edited and uploaded. So still have a lot of work to do on that. Otherwise, I'm really not sure what's going on at this point, and I'm going to continue working on the Reign of Ash once I get all this video prep done. But I am going to hope to binge some more reading, since I did get back into that more full swing in February, and I've been really enjoying myself with my current books. So that is the end of this state of affairs. Thank you guys for watching. My apologies for it being seemingly at least a little bit longer than the last few of these have been. I'll be back on Sunday, actually, with my next bi-weekly update. So if you want more detailed view on the stuff that I've been working on, as well as a couple other goings-on in my life and stuff that I've been doing and whatnot, you can always check that out. But otherwise, on next Tuesday, I will be having... Oh yeah, that's right, I mentioned it earlier in this very video. On Tuesday, I will be having my February reading wrap-up and March TBR video come out. Next Thursday as well will be my February book haul video. But I am excited for you guys to see that reading wrap up because like I said, I did get back into reading and I have been really enjoying myself with several of the items that I've been getting into recently. So I hope that you would be willing to go check that out. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss when it comes out. Otherwise, that is the end of this month's state of affairs. Gotta love when English doesn't work, and congestion certainly doesn't help. I'll be back on Sunday with another update, and then Tuesday, like I said, with that wrap up.